Americans have lost over $2 trillion in value in their homes since June of 2022. And yet, home values are still up 6.5% year over year nationally. So what does this mean? Are we in the middle of a crash? Where's this all gonna end up? My name's Peyton Clancy Fairbanks, and let's talk about it. I'm not gonna give the answer that you want, so let's get the base stats out of the way and let you get out of here if you're wanting to. Home values are down 10.6% nationally from their June highs, and Utah's home prices are down 13.33% from that same time period, meaning that we're really in the middle of a crash, and the real answer is that nobody really knows. And so that's what the end of this video is gonna end up. If that's not the answer that you want, go watch something else. But if you're willing to stick around, let's talk about a specific kind of situation. Inflation's at an all-time high where the government's concerned about it and creating economic policy to fix it. The economic policy from the period before was meant to spur growth and help the US economy grow and get out of some form of a turmoil. I want you to imagine this scenario for me. A scenario where inflation's gotten so bad that the government has started getting involved. A moment in time before this where economic policy was meant to spur growth to make it so the United States wouldn't go into a recession. And I want you to imagine political figures putting economic policies into place to make it look like they're doing well so that they're able to get reelected. Does this all kind of sound familiar? That's because this is exactly what happened in the 1970s. Late in the 1960s, something called the easy money policy was put into effect. Pretty much low interest rates to spur economic growth. And Nixon in 1970 wanted to look like the economy was doing really well and inflation wasn't going to be a problem. And so on top of the easy money policies, he also created price controls that made the American people super stoked and made it easy for him to be reelected in 1972. The problem with all of this, though, is that the easy money policy and the price controls specifically directly linked to inflation at some point. And so after he got reelected and when he got rid of the price controls, there was this large gap of money that needed to be made between what the price was at the control and where it was supposed to be. And so you not only had an overheated economy and inflation with that, but you had price controls that caused prices to skyrocket even more. And so Nixon's failed economic policies caused some of the highest inflation we've seen in the United States in 1973 and 74. This is like 8.5 up to 9.5%. They increased interest rates, it decreased the inflation rates, and so the next 2 years it went down to 5.5 or 6%, down to 3.5%. The problem was, though, is they weren't aggressive enough in trying to get rid of inflation. And so in 1979 and 1980, inflation started skyrocketing again and going above 10%. So it took a full 10 years and one of the largest economic problems the United States has ever seen to get inflation under control. And the most interesting piece of this is that home prices increased by more than 170%. The purpose of this isn't to convince you to buy or sell a house or even to convince you that real estate's a good investment. The purpose of this is to help you understand that historically, it's almost impossible to know which way the real estate market's gonna go. Like, let's go to 2000 and 2010. The real estate market increased a little bit above 33% in value. And in that same time, the largest decrease we saw was between Q1 of 2007 and Q1 of 2009, where the market's value decreased by 19%. So if you're using these stats, it would make you assume that the real estate market has another 9% nationally to go down if it's going to do the same thing that it did back in 2008. But inflation's highest point was 5.5% during that time period in the 2000s. And the main contributor to today is the inflation. And so it would be more apt to compare it to the 70s than it would be to 2008. Or maybe it's not, and that's me making up a bunch of stats and saying a bunch of stuff to convince you of something otherwise. The real estate market is a beast that nobody knows how to tame or understand. And that's what you have to understand. Real estate prices can't be decided by stats that real estate agents or even basic economists can create plans for. So I'm sure this definitely was kind of a weird video, and you're trying to understand what's the point of me talking about all this. It really boils down to one thing. You don't have any idea which way the prices are going, neither do the real estate agent videos that you're watching, and really at any moment in time when everybody's convinced you that it's gonna go one way or the other, all it takes is a politician wanting to get reelected to switch which direction they're going. So if you do want to buy a house, buy a house. Make sure you buy it at a discount and it serves the functionality that you need it to do. If you're not gonna buy a house, don't buy a house. Make sure that you're putting your money in investments that would serve you well historically. But other than that, that's all I got for you. If you got any questions, feel free to let me know. Thanks for watching and have a great day.